This report looks at the general crimes reported within Middlesbrough and provides detailed statistical analysis on burglary. Middlesbrough has a population of approximately 135,000. 3,152 crimes were reported in 2014 January and February. The Strategic Problem-Solving Process (SARA) model is used to analyze the data to improve police response. This graph shows the numbers of crimes reported to police in Middlesbrough on January of 2014. The crimes were split into two main categories: other crimes against society, which stands at 21%, and victim-based crimes, which stand at 79%. From the two main categories, we will look at victim-based crime. The analysis was done on burglary, which is split into burglary other than a dwelling and attempted burglary. Analysis shows most of the burglaries occurred in these two regions, the Teesside University area and east of Albert Park. The offenders targeted premises nearby open spaces and parks. This is so that they could flee and hide. Offenders were likely to target premises that would reduce the risk of being seen by others, although there are influences such as accessibility of the target premises, as well as routine activities of victims, which gives offenders more opportunity to burgle. 10% of the burglaries were committed in business premises, 13% were committed in sheds and garages, and 77% were committed in living accommodation. Targeted age group. As you can see in the graph, the majority of victims were mature adults aged between 36 and 50 years old, and the elderly, which were aged between 51 and above. 29% of the victims were male, and 71% of the victims were female. 57% of female victims are known to be single, so it is likely that offenders approach the victims very systematic and rationally by cautiously assessing the positive risks, vulnerable victims and rewards associated with it. Days which the burglaries are committed. As we can see in the graph, majority of the burglaries are committed on a Monday and least burglaries are committed on a Sunday. In the pie chart we can see most of the burglaries are committed in the weekdays, which is 81%, compared to the 19% of burglaries committed on weekends. This likely happens because household activities during weekends will be higher than activities during workdays, so this prevents the potential burglaries to take place without seeing by the households. Out of all the crimes, the majority of the crimes were committed between 6 p.m. and 12 a.m. The data suggests that daylight times increase the probability of burglaries at a 52%. This is because the victims are more likely to be out of the house, for example at work. Hence, events that happen in the evening and all night incline to be lesser, 48%, because the victim is more likely to be at home. 19% of burglaries occur while the occupants were reported to be inside the house. Hence, this sometimes prevents the house from being burgled. Most burglars are motivated by need. According to data, electronic items such as laptops, computers, tablets, mobile phones, and digital cameras are burglars' favorite goods. This data reveals that offenders are attentive to the items which are expensive, easily accessible, or can be sold easily. Entry via the rear of the property was the most common way for burglars. According to the geographical data, the offenders targeted the properties with backyards and open areas in the rear, which is an advantage for them to hide or run away. 50% of all burglaries were forced entry gained, 43% were via insecure doors or windows, and 7% were classified as unknown. The most common way recorded to gain forced entry was by kicking the door open. The offenders used many other methods such as drilling a hole to unlock the door and by using a flat blade instrument. The methods, time, and the MO of burglaries revealed that the offenders had knowledge about the victims and their daily routine activities. Also, the offenders were familiar with the area very well, which indicates they live in the Middlesbrough area. Few witnesses testified to the identity of suspects, and only one suspect has been arrested in the duration of January. In very few cases, the offenders have left their footwear impressions in the scene, which the shoes were identified. These marks should be analysed with the footwear database or any other offenders whose shoes were identified. The following control strategies provide a basis of ideas for addressing burglary crimes. These strategies are summarized from a variety of police reports and researches. Situational crime prevention responses. Many burglary prevention responses are involved with improving surveillance, for example installing CCTV or implying a neighborhood watch program, or security, such as installing burglar alarms and target hardening. This reduces the rewards and increases the risk of detection. The considerations to be thought about before applying these responses are they may be expensive, not successful 100% of the time, or overcome by the suspect, whereas they also increase the security of the premises, increase witness sightings, and are evidence provided for investigations. Victim-orientated response. Changing the potential victim's behavior can reduce the likelihood of being burgled. Protecting repeat victims will decrease the risk of further victimization. Property marking, which makes it more difficult for the suspect to sell the items and increases the chance of identification. Security advice and awareness. These all increase the risks for offenders. These provide a combination of prevention and detection. They reduce the demand for stolen properties and make the community more aware of the level of risk in the area, and inform the victim on how to take precautionate measures in that situation. Police activity and a range of enforcement measures in targeted hotspots will reduce offenders and potential offenders of committing burglaries in the area. Increasing police patrols, surveillances, and improving response time when a crime has been reported provide a difficulty for the suspect to dispose of stolen goods and increases the risks of apprehension and detection. This requires more effort from the police during their patrols, monitoring marketplaces and pawn shops, and surveying repeat offenders, probationers and suspects in hotspot areas at peak times and periods. Limitation. The data which is provided for this report only consists of data consumed from a 1-month period during 2014. This report is unable to compare these crime statistics against previous years, therefore has the potential to omit any patterns or trends already in existence. As a result of the information being too vague, exact locations of these incidents cannot be defined, and therefore the geographical hotspot map may not be entirely accurate and should be used as a reference guide only. In addition, missing data within a dataset can impact results. This happens when all of the information is not entered into the software, or it could be that some of the information is not known.